Let me paint you a picture. There's a guy. Let's call him Marcus. He earns good money. Really good money. 6 figures, or close to it. He drives a nice car, lives in a decent apartment in a good part of town, wears the right clothes. From the outside, everything looks sorted. And then there's his college buddy, Jake. Jake earns maybe half of what Marcus makes. He drives a used Honda that's got about 80,000 miles on it. His phone is 2 years old, and he hasn't upgraded it. He meal preps on Sundays, cooks at home most nights, and doesn't say much about money when the group gets together. But here's the thing that keeps Marcus up at night. Even if he'd never say it out loud, Jake has savings. Real savings. The kind that sit in an account and quietly grow while Jake sleeps. And Marcus? Marcus is one bad month away from calling his dad. How does that happen? How does the person earning less end up more financially secure than the person earning more? Because I think if we're honest with ourselves, most of us know a Marcus. Some of us are Marcus. And this video is for both of you. Before we dive deeper, like this video and hit the subscribe button to always be among the first to see our videos. We've been taught to think about money in the wrong direction. We spend most of our energy focused on the income side of the equation. Get a raise, get a better job, start a side hustle, make more. And income does matter. I'm not going to sit here and tell you money doesn't matter or that everyone can just save their way out of real financial hardship. That's not what this is about. But what nobody really talks about is the other side of the equation. Because here's what actually happens when income goes up for most people. Lifestyle goes up right alongside it. And not by a little. Sometimes it goes up faster than the income itself. There's even a name for it in behavioral economics, lifestyle inflation. And it's not a character flaw. It's not weakness. It's honestly just what humans do. We normalize. We adjust. The thing that felt like a luxury 6 months ago becomes a necessity today. The apartment we thought was amazing when we first signed the lease suddenly feels a little small once we earn a bit more. The car that felt like freedom the day we drove it off the lot starts looking dated when a coworker pulls up in something newer. This is not about blaming anyone. This is about understanding the trap. And once you see it clearly, you can't unsee it. Here's where it gets interesting. And a little uncomfortable. Every physical thing you own, every possession, every subscription, every upgrade, comes with a cost that doesn't end the moment you buy it. There's what I call the hidden life cost of things. The purchase price is just the beginning. Think about it. A bigger apartment means more space to fill with furniture. More furniture means more to clean, more to maintain, more to eventually replace. A nicer car means higher insurance, higher fuel costs, parking fees, and the quiet psychological pressure of keeping it looking good. Even a wardrobe full of clothes creates a kind of invisible cognitive load. The mental energy spent on decisions, on upkeep, on wondering if what you own is still right. None of this shows up on the price tag, but all of it shows up in your bank account. And more than that, it shows up in your energy. In the low-level hum of financial stress that follows you around even when things are technically fine. Jake, the college buddy with the lower salary, understands something that Marcus hasn't figured out yet. He thinks in terms of what some people call cost per use. Not, how much does this cost, but how often will I actually use this, and does that justify what I'm giving up to have it? It sounds simple, but it's actually a profoundly different way of relating to money. Because when you ask that question honestly, a lot of things stop making sense. The gym membership you use twice a month. The streaming service you added during a free trial and completely forgot about. The restaurant meals that started as Friday night treats and somehow became a Tuesday and Thursday habit too. The wardrobe refresh every season because something in you says you're supposed to. None of these things are moral failures. But when you add them up, they represent thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, of dollars a year quietly leaving your life. And here's the math that people don't sit with long enough. If you earn more but spend proportionally more, your savings rate stays flat or even shrinks. But if someone earning half your salary keeps their spending disciplined, not extreme, not deprived, just deliberate, their savings rate might be 3 times higher than yours. A savings rate is the single most powerful variable in building long-term financial security. not income, not investment returns. The percentage of what you earn that you actually keep. Because that's the number that compounds. That's the number that builds into something real. So here's the reframe that I think changes everything. Wealth isn't about what you own. Wealth is about what you can choose. There's a concept worth holding on to here, optionality. It just means having choices. The freedom to say no to a job you hate because you have a cushion. The freedom to take a lower-paying role that actually makes you happy. The freedom to help a family member without wrecking yourself financially in the process. The freedom to handle a medical bill, a car repair, or a slow freelance month without it spiraling into a full-blown crisis. That freedom doesn't come from earning more. It comes from the gap between what you earn and what you spend. And that gap only exists when you've protected it deliberately. This is what people like Jake have figured out, maybe intuitively, maybe by necessity, maybe because someone in their life modeled it early on. They've stopped measuring wealth by what's visible and started measuring it by what's possible. And those are very different currencies. When Marcus upgrades to the nicer apartment across town, he's buying something real, comfort, maybe some status, a sense of arrival. But he's also buying a set of obligations that now travel with him every single month, whether things are going well or not. He's traded optionality for optics, and he may not even realize he's done it. Now, and this is important, I'm not telling you to live like a monk. I'm not saying deprive yourself of joy or spend your whole life running numbers on a spreadsheet. That's not a life either. What I'm saying is this: be deliberate. Know why you spend what you spend. Separate the things that genuinely bring you peace and enjoyment from the things you spend on out of habit, social pressure, or the vague feeling that you're supposed to be living a certain way by now. Start with one question when you're about to spend something significant. Does this create more freedom in my life, or does it create more obligation? A course that sharpens a skill you use every day, that might genuinely be worth it. A car upgrade because your current one embarrasses you at the office, that's worth sitting with a little longer before you sign anything. On the savings side, the mechanism itself is almost boring. Build a buffer that makes emergencies feel smaller. Then build beyond that into real savings or investment. Even modest amounts, started early, matter more than large amounts started late. This isn't a secret. Compound interest is real, and it works quietly in the background whether you're paying attention or not. The hard part is just starting and then not stopping. What gets talked about less is the psychological return on having savings. There's real research suggesting that financial anxiety is one of the most consistent contributors to overall stress and even to physical health outcomes. Not because money is everything, but because financial instability is a persistent, low-grade stressor that never fully lets you breathe. When you build a margin, even a modest one, you actually think more clearly. You make better decisions. You become less reactive in moments that used to feel urgent. You become a slightly different version of yourself when you're not quietly terrified about what happens if something goes wrong. The other practical thing worth saying? Stop upgrading before the old thing is broken. This sounds small, but it isn't. We live in a world that is engineered, carefully, deliberately engineered, to make you feel like what you have is always slightly behind. That's not accidental. The entire architecture of modern marketing exists to shrink the distance between "this works fine" and "I need the new one." Resisting that pull, consciously and repeatedly, is one of the most financially powerful habits you can build. And it compounds too, just in a different way. Here's where I want to leave you. There will always be someone who earns more and seems to be doing more. Better vacations, nicer things, a lifestyle that looks abundant from the outside. And maybe it is. But more often than not, you're not seeing the full picture. You're not seeing the monthly obligations stacked behind the surface. You're not seeing what they lie awake thinking about at 2 in the morning. You're not seeing the options they've quietly traded away to maintain the image. The people who end up genuinely secure, not just appearing secure, but actually feeling peace about money, they tend to share one thing. They stopped playing the comparison game with income and started playing a different game entirely. They measured themselves by margin, by the gap, by how much breathing room they had inside their own life. And here's what that eventually builds, if you stay consistent long enough: a kind of quiet confidence that has nothing to do with what you own. You stop dreading bad news because you know you have a cushion. You stop feeling stuck in situations you don't want to be in. You start making decisions from a place of choice rather than necessity. That shift, from necessity to choice, is the real definition of financial freedom. And it's available to people at almost every income level, if they're willing to look at the gap instead of just the number. Progress, not perfection. A smaller apartment with growing savings beats a larger one with none. A working car with a solid emergency fund beats a new one that quietly drains your paycheck every month. Small, consistent decisions over time build something that no single purchase ever will. Jake knows this. And now, so do you. If this made something click for you, like this video and subscribe to Weston Wealth for more money breakdowns on personal finance and wealth building strategies. I will see you in my next video.